You who are American, you who are listening to me now, let me give you the point of view of the Russians. Suppose that the Chinese become friendly with Colombia in South America. They become real friendly, and they enter into this joint military alliance. That's pretty weird, right? I mean, China and Colombia, they're separated by the Pacific Ocean. It's a pretty big ocean, right? But they get into this military alliance, and then Venezuela joins too. And then Panama soon enough joins. And then Guatemala joins this Chinese military alliance because they all claim to be equal members of equal status, but the biggest rooster, who is it? China. China really controls this military alliance. And China makes all these countries buy Chinese weapons, very expensive weapon systems. And it basically just twists their arm just a little bit, but still twisting their arm. Because, see, these guys, they realize that they only need to get their arms twisted a little bit to realize I'm going to pay up and buy these weapon systems, because or else the Chinese are just going to flat out break my arm, and the next guy who's president of my country is going to buy their weapons anyway. So there's no resistance. Resistance is futile to the American military-industrial complex. I mean, the Chinese military-industrial complex. So anyway, the Chinese get into this alliance with Colombia, with Venezuela, right? And it's not an alliance that sells weapons to these countries, but like with no purpose, because they don't have an enemy. But then this alliance one day decides, we should say that our primary adversary is the United States. Yeah, but we're building our alliance, it's just mutual protection, mutual defense. And, Honduras joins, and Nicaragua joins, and Costa Rica joins. And then, the United States sees this and they get a little freaked out, and there are weapon systems, Chinese weapon systems, in Colombia, in Venezuela, in Panama, in Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, and it starts wigging out the Americans something awful, right? And they say, don't get Mexico to join. Okay, I understand you have your security concerns, but don't get Mexico to join, because then it affects us, because Mexico is our buffer. But the Chinese, they say, why? Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that Mexico can't join? I mean, any country is free to join any alliance that they want, right? Right. And so if Mexico wants to join the alliance, the Chinese-led alliance with Chinese weapon systems all over Central America and South America, well, why are you such a bad, crazy person that you don't want Mexico to join? What's wrong with you? Huh? Are you evil? Do you have any intentions on Mexico? Maybe we should get Mexico to join us because you have evil intentions for Mexico. You see? And so finally, the Chinese start poking and poking and poking at the United States, and Mexico keeps insisting that it wants to join NATO, and it starts making moves like, it wants to retake Texas. See? Because Texas, it's called Tejas. Tejas means shingles on the roof. Tejas, now known as Texas, used to be Mexican. And the Mexicans say, that land is ours. You should give it back to us. And the United States is like, no, it's ours now. And it starts getting a little wigged out by the whole situation. And all of a sudden, the Chinese start sending military advisors to Mexico and start importing all kinds of weapons. And the Mexicans start amassing an army right on the border with Texas, right across from the Rio Grande. And the Rio Grande is not a particularly wide river. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to cross it. I mean, migrants cross it every day, right? And so all of a sudden, the United States realizes, holy shit, these fuckers mean to invade Texas and take it from us. So what would the United States do in that case? Huh? And you tell me. I think the answer is pretty goddamn obvious now, isn't it? They would attack first. Use the element of surprise, overwhelm the Mexicans, and take over Mexico. I mean, fucking take over the whole fucking country. Like that. Take it over because the Chinese are encroaching on the buffer zone of the United States. And the United States can't have that. The United States cannot have nuclear missiles, 10 miles away from San Diego. It just can't happen. It's not going to happen. And so the Americans invade Mexico. And China, what does China do? It goes around the world saying, look at these evil Americans who invaded Mexico. They are so evil. We weren't doing anything. We were just so innocent. And Mexico, poor Mexico, we stand with Mexico. And China starts putting all kinds of sanctions on the United States. And China starts saying that, all Americans are evil. And, don't call it American football. Call it whatever else. Like that. Mm? And start demonizing not just the American government that orders this invasion, not just the soldiers, the American soldiers that invade. No, the Chinese and their proxies around the world start saying that the Americans are evil, all American people are evil, and that they should be kicked out of their country, they should be persecuted, they should be treated like garbage. What do you think the American reaction would be? Do you think that the American people would just say, okay, well, sorry? No, they'd be like, fuck you. And even if there were people in the United States who opposed the invasion of Mexico, well, after this persecution, after all these Chinese sanctions against America and American people and American businesses, all this hysteria from China against the United States, against American people, well, the American people, even if they disagreed with the policy of invading Mexico, they'd rally around the flag because they'd realize, holy shit, these guys really hate our guts. These guys want us dead. And if Americans started reading and finding out that in China, they have whole think tanks and non-governmental organizations that are working 24/7 to figure out a way how to topple the government of the United States and potentially replace it with a quote unquote friendly regime, regime change in America. If they openly advocated that, if they even openly advocated for the breakup of the United States, do you think that Americans would like that very much? Do you think they'd be like, yay, man, that's really cool? Do you honestly think that, that the United States would be like so happy to think that the Chinese want to just, go into America and break it up into maybe 3 or 4 countries, and they wanted to deindustrialize it so that the Chinese could go into America, deindustrialize America, and take all their natural resources for their own companies, their own factories, their own industries. Do you think Americans would like that? Do you think that they'd be like, oh, that's so wonderful. That's such a wonderful fate. Do you think? Think, motherfucker. Come on.